You're listening to DigitalNOW, an original business and technology podcast by Logic 2020. I'm your host, Matt Treville. Each episode, I will be interviewing a new expert to learn more about industry trends, fascinating new tech, shifting customer expectations, and the steps every business can take to stay ahead. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. Exciting one today as I have with me Alexis Greenwood, who's a manager from our digital transformation practice focused on offering development innovation. She is passionate about work and making life easier and loves working as a consultant. Currently the Salesforce Offering Lead and has worked on engagements leveraging Salesforce and also managing our relationship and partnership with them. Alexis, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me, Matt.
I'm excited about this one. Now, listen, I've got to say right off the bat, I'm a little bit slow on the uptake today. I've just had a baby, so I'm a little bit sleep deprived and a little bit off, so apologize in advance.
It's one of the few excuses that I would accept.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the leniency there, but how about we get straight into it before I muck everything up? Okay, how's that sound?
Sounds great.
Okay, awesome. So my first question is also a two-parter. Just to make it hard for you off the bat, okay? So what do you mean by a single view of the customer and why is it important for companies?
Well, that's a great question, Matt. The phrase single view of the customer is an elegant way of saying, let's get all of the information about a customer or all the information relevant about a customer for our company into one place. But single view of the customer sounds a lot better. What it really means is integrating potentially siloed systems for, a company that has many different systems and tools for managing customers and projects and products, and pulling all the information relevant to a single customer into one view. It's really, really important because companies that do this have so much more context about their customers when anyone from the company goes to interact with them. To give you just a small example, if I am a customer at a company or a customer of a company that, let's say they sell a window washing service, I may have talked with the sales team about the window washing. I may have talked with the service team that's coming out to wash my windows. And maybe I've talked with support because the company damaged one of my windows. I might be interacting with any number of people. It's important for the sales team. It's important for the support team and the service team to all have the same information about me when they go to look me up in their customer systems and know what I've done with the company and how to interact with me.
I mean, that makes total sense. And as a customer, right, that's going to give me a lot more trust and confidence to know that there's that communication. That's really cool. Okay, so what are the common pain points our customers are having and what would lead them to a solution like this?
Well, I think there are a number of pain points that our clients experience. I would probably sum it all up really to say that there are missed opportunities when you don't have a single view of the customer. So missed opportunities might represent things like missing context that I touched on a minute ago. So if the sales team doesn't know that somebody from the company broke one of my windows and then reaches out to me a week later to ask if they can wash my windows again, I might not be so keen as a customer on that. So that kind of contextual information can be really critical to making a sale, making a good connection, holding on to a relationship.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I think people are a lot more skeptical these days. They want to have trust in a brand. They want to have trust in a solution provider. So yeah, again, makes total sense. Okay, question 3 here. What are these customers' main goals when implementing a solution like this?
Simply put, they want to capitalize on the information that they already have about their customers. They want that information to be visible to the people who need it. So that can take any number of different forms. And capitalizing on the information doesn't just mean that the customer service agents and the salespeople have an easier time doing their job. It also means for the customer that they have a better experience overall. When I communicate with a company, I might do so in any number of ways. I might email them, I might call them, I might even send a text message these days. Whenever I do get in touch with the company, I expect them to have the context of those previous conversations. So it's both all the information being in one place and being able to capture all the data that comes from these omnichannel communications occurring across different technologies and making it easy for everybody to access it.
That's really important because there's a really wide variety of ways people are contacting companies now, right? So if you're missing these connections, that can be really detrimental. Is that essentially what you're saying?
Absolutely. It is a huge, wide omnichannel world that we're living in, and the ways that we communicate vary. The teams at the company that we communicate vary. And so what you end up with is a lot of data. And this data may be disparate, meaning that from a data management perspective, we aren't looking at the same things when we move from system to system and tool to tool. And so it really takes a lot of careful planning and thought and technology expertise to turn all of this data into meaningful information that can help get a holistic picture of a customer.
And I bring that up because I'm pretty old school. I like to call and talk to a person. I like to take notes in a notebook, not my laptop. My wife likes to email. I know people who like to text. So, I mean, you really need to be open to everyone's communication channels. It's interesting. Righto. So, what does Logic 2020 bring to the table when it comes to this offering? And how do we partner with Salesforce?
Well, I think we bring a lot to the table. We've got experience implementing, enhancing, and integrating Salesforce and really diving in and getting to know complex information systems and being able to surface key information and make connections for our customers. In particular, we help our customers by taking not just the perspective of how do we plug A and B together to make C from a technology perspective, but we really take the time to partner with our clients to find out what they need from a business perspective and help them turn their goals into very specific technology objectives that are going to help them meet those goals. We also, by leveraging our partnership with Salesforce and the connections that we have there, we're able to really take advantage of the latest information, the latest technology from Salesforce, and have the weight of the support of that company behind us and the solutions that we implement. It's really a big world that Salesforce has created, and the ability to navigate that and help our clients make the connections with the best possible solution is something that we really excel at.
I love that you started with getting to the bottom of the outcome and understanding the customer. That's really important, and then matching it with the solution. I love that you said that first. Nice. Okay, so you're leading the Salesforce offerings right now. Could you tell us about a project you worked on in this space and the outcomes you saw? And let's get deep with it. Let's go into it. You might not be able to say the name of the client. You might not be able to do this or that. But I would love to see a really in-depth look at a project, if you don't mind.
Sure. Well, luckily, I just wrapped one up, so I can talk to you a little bit about that one. Recently, for one of our clients, we did a contract lifecycle management implementation, which is a tool that manages contracts from end to end. And I think the really interesting thing about this project, other than the fact that they were migrating into Salesforce, was that by doing so, they were able to get so much more collaboration, compliance, interconnectedness from doing this. The way that the contracting process worked for this client is similar in a lot of ways to other companies. If you look at it from a high enough level, the sales team makes the deal. Then it's handed over to the contracting team. The contracting team works through the contract, and then the contracting team hands off to procurement and distribution teams for products that are going to be bought, sold, and distributed. So because the contract management tool was outside of Salesforce before, living in a siloed system all by itself, and the only team that was accessing it was the contracting team, there weren't a lot of opportunities for the sales team and the contracting team, or the contracting team and the procurement team, to work together and make sure that they were managing the same information the right way. Now that everybody has access to Salesforce, the whole contract process and the larger process that it's a part of are interconnected. So when the sales team makes a deal, they convert the opportunity, they're able to pass it off pretty seamlessly inside of Salesforce to go through that contracting process and hand it on down to the other downstream teams. So that being able to see that kind of transformation and the change for the larger organization as the result of moving one process into Salesforce was really cool to be a part of.
That's awesome. And talk about some of the business benefits. I know there's some obvious ones, but what are some of the business benefits that the client saw? Is it just the open communication, or is it time saved? Like, what are we talking about here?
Well, there were a couple things. I mean, we talked about the collaboration part. I would say information management just broadly is a lot more powerful within Salesforce and the tools that they're using. The contracts in particular that we're working with were relatively complex contracts that involved products, and the products also involved a number of different terms. And so we were managing a huge data schema, a lot of information about these contracts. And so the ability to search, find, and report on the information is much enhanced inside Salesforce. And we also built some pretty neat integrations between SAP and Salesforce to get the product information that they needed for the products that are going on the contracts. So starting at the very beginning from the sales process through Salesforce into SAP, there's kind of a connectedness of information there because of the way that we integrated things and the way that the process is set up that is much more mature for the business than what they had in place before.
Well, here it is. Last question for today. If there's one thing you would like our listeners to take away from this conversation, what would it be?
Well, Matt, I think I'd have to say, going back to what I touched on earlier in our conversation, that single view of the customer, a true single view of the customer is complicated and it's hard to get to. But without it, you're missing a lot of opportunities to have context and connect more deeply with your customers.
Awesome. Summed up perfectly. Thank you. Well, it was great chatting with you. Really enjoyed it. And we should do this again sometime.
Sounds great. Would love to.
Okay, awesome. Thanks again. Have a great day.
Thanks. You too.
You've been listening to Logic 2020's podcast, DigitalNOW. To learn more, visit our website at logic2020.com or follow us on social media. See you next time.